Hello foam flinging friends, welcome back. Today we'll be assembling a silly shell pistol called the Goblin. I'll provide links to the printables page of course. There are a few remixes, so it's slightly different from the original Goblin. First of all, this is actually a slightly smaller grip. The original Goblin's much larger, so this is called the Lynx remix, where the grip is a little bit smaller and more comfortable for regular people. This remix also does not have a torsion spring. It usually sits here. That helps this lever open up the silly shell compartment. This remix will use an elastic which will slip through the front plate here. And lastly, the plunger rod is actually from another blaster called the Typhon blaster. So this is a bit more comfortable to grip and pull. I actually have the Goblin instructions just off camera, so I'll be following as closely as possible, but in general I'll need to make adjustments because of the elastic and the plunger rod pull. Okay, so let's get started with the trigger. Okay, 25. Okay, no nut. Okay, the hole needs a little bit of work. So let's open it up a little bit. Don't think this is the actual correct way to open up the hole, but this is called the ghetto method. Does it go through? Still a little small. .3D tolerances tend to be a little bit touch and go sometimes, so you gotta be prepared. Okay, through the magic of editing, I'll try and pause whenever it takes too long, so I don't want to waste your time. So this would be the trigger. Next, you're gonna need 2 hex nuts, and we will attach the catch spring. Catch spring will sit there. Hex nuts will slide. Okay. Okay, so now we screw the sear in. Make sure the spring doesn't jump out. Okay, time to widen the hole a bit. Okay, so I got it in halfway. I'll put in the nuts in a second. But just note that the sears should sit here and there's actually a little groove. It's always a good idea to put a bit of lube between the trigger and the sear because there's a lot of movement. So I can just put some super lube. Yep, so just around the edge should be okay. Don't have to put a lot, just enough so that there's a bit of ease of movement. Okay, so we're going to put the spring in. Make sure it fits into the other groove as well. This will be a bit tricky. To make sure it sits right. And just watch out for the hole. That's why you need to make sure you have a little bit of lubricant. I mean, if you want, you can put a bit more now. But this looks... So the spring pushes the sear back up and the trigger releases. Okay. So a quick pause while I push this all the way in. Okay. So along the way while screwing this in, you have to make sure that it's still working good. Okay, so we'll just pop the two nuts in here first, just for a while. Okay, next we're gonna need the body, and we're gonna place two hex nuts inside these little grooves here at the front. Okay, we'll need the plunger tube to hold the nuts in place. Okay, so one nut in. Well, don't know if you can see it, but it sits relatively nicely. Yep, doesn't fall out. Okay, the next step is actually for the torsion spring. But since we're not putting a torsion spring, we'll just put this here first. This will be the lever. Just remember, this cannot be too tight because this is supposed to move. So you can push it all the way in, but make sure there's a little bit of movement. You should be able to put in a little bit more. There's actually a small little ledge here, so it shouldn't go too far down. Oh, that's a little bit tight. Now we can tighten this later because it's on the outside, but it feels okay. There's actually supposed to be a nameplate at the rear body, but I didn't print it. I can do that later, not to worry. Okay, so this is where the plunger rod comes in. This is where the hex screw is supposed to go in, but we'll do this first. This is from the Typhon blaster. Yeah, and you just put in the screw and lock it in. So it's going to be a toughie, so I'll pause the video for a second. Okay, so this is the... oh, that's actually another hole. I can fix that later. Yeah, so this is supposed to be a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so the plunger rod and the main spring. Okay, so this is supposed to go into the rear of the body. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is supposed to go through the rear. Just remember there's supposed to be a nut there. So I will be priming like this. Okay, so we'll put in one little hex nut. Put in the main spring. This is a K25. Oh, this looks tiny. Looks like I'm gonna need to widen this a little bit. Okay, so I've already screwed in the M30. It should catch inside that little bolt that we put in there. Okay. Next we'll take care of the main body. So I realized I forgot something. Need to remember to put the O-ring on. Feels a little bit loose. But it should work. I'm going to put a bit of silicone grease, then spread it through. The plunger tube. Yep, nice and smooth. Okay. Pops out a little bit, but it's alright. Can put in a hex nut right here. There's a Picatinny rail. Interesting. So you need to slide this here, but now I'm being blocked by my... Okay, so we'll find a way around this. Okay, so I basically just pulled this all the way. Things I need to make sure goes back, which is the two nuts. Okay, so let's see if I can balance and put it back in. Okay, so back to the original thing, which is the Picatinny rail. Okay, let's not jostle it too much. You need 4 M6s to secure the rail. That's one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna do the crash pad. So one ring goes like this, the other goes like a peculiar little fan pattern. So this becomes the crash pad. You fit a little O-ring. Yeah, that helps with the seal with the silly shell. It looks a little bit too big. Let me push it in and see what I can do. Okay, welcome back. I've already made the crash pad. This O-ring didn't seem to fit for some reason. So despite my best efforts, I couldn't get it to sit inside the groove well. So I actually cut it slightly. And very carefully shoved it in. So the air seal is not going to be perfect, but I guess I can probably fix it later if I have to, since it's on the outside. Yeah, I think that's the best as I can get it. Okay, so we'll need to attach this to the front now with 3 M25s. Okay, so the O-ring's a tad bit loose, so I just needed to pry it in. Should be alright. Should seal nicely now, hopefully. Okay, this one's a bit tricky because you have to make sure the plunger tube stays up. While keeping the... Oh, okay, so fits nicely. So now I have to get the screws in. Sure there's a better way, but seeing that I'm kinda new, have to learn. Okay. So my two nuts that was sitting here keeps coming out, so we'll figure that one out. Okay, so that took a really long while because it was very tricky to try and get the bolts into the nuts hiding here, and the nuts kept falling off. Okay. We'll fit in the grip first. Of course, make sure the two nuts are still there. Slide it in. Watch out for the sear. It's very tight. Okay, so got it in. So now you fix in there are already two bolts behind, one on each side on the rearmost. Okay, so rearmost nuts fixed. Now we'll work on these four. Okay, so it was a little frustrating because the two captive nuts that were supposed to be here ended up falling out. So after I put in two of these screws near the trigger, I realized they were just rattling around inside the plunger tube. So I had to take out these 4 screws and these 2 body screws to take this whole back portion out. Reposition the screws, reposition the nuts, and put it back in again. And then putting everything back together again was a little bit harder because everything was under tension, but okay. So these nuts are in, and these last 2 body nuts are in. Okay, I actually took out this break open lever. I have to put it back because I need to put on the front portion now. So this has to be tight, but just tight enough that it will allow a bit of movement. Okay, this is too tight. Oh, this should be alright. Okay, so this is the part that's not from the original Goblin. This is the one without the torsion spring, so thread this through. Okay, so as usual, I need to make a bigger hole with this little screwdriver. Still a bit too small. You should probably do this before you screw this nut in. I'll take this one out just in case. You can probably use a small drill for this. Okay, so unfortunately I couldn't find the cable that was small enough. The rubber bands I have are probably too big, so I'll probably need to go down to the store. But yeah, in general this is alright. Okay, so now we fix up the front. This is the ejector. So you put it in, and basically the string will actually keep yanking this towards the back. So as long as blaster is on, it won't be able to, but once it's open, the shell should fire out. So the first things first is, what I'm going to do is I'll take a little bit of a cotton bud, put some lube on the inside of that track. Actually, maybe I should tie this in first. Oh, guess I got lucky, the hole's big enough. One knot on it. Oh, that should work. Okay, so this track needs to be lubed, so I'll use a little bit of a cotton bud, take a bit of silicone grease, don't have to put too much, but just enough so it doesn't squeak and it moves freely. Should do it. Pull it back. You can keep pulling this back and forth just to spread and even out the grease. If you hold it right, so you just test out the strength of the cord and tie another up, trying to get it as close as possible so you don't get a lot of slack. Seems alright. Do I want it tighter? Just put it just a tad bit more. You can adjust how tight you want this, because if you don't want it to eject, you can just leave it loose. I think I'll just a little extra knot here. See if I can get it below the current knot. It's a little bit tighter now. Okay, just gotta cut this off. Okay. Now we're gonna add the muzzle. Two screws here and here. Okay, so 2 bolts went in here, 1 went in the top. Almost done. Now we just touch this here to attach a nut at this spot. Okay, that looks like it's sitting just right. Looks like it. Just latch it on for the time being. So it's tricky trying to keep the bolts straight. Okay, so finally got these to fit. Tolerance is quite, if you notice, it doesn't close completely. Might be the print tolerance here, because it was quite tricky to try and get the nut and bolt to connect together. So, silly shell. Prime. And fire. pretty good. There we go. See you next time.